I mentioned they were going to try to get in 3.14 these NPCs not to stand on the chairs. At least in the PTU Wave 1, they did not manage to get that in. This is kind of just a fast draw. I know you're probably expecting me to be at Orison, but I loaded into Orison twice now, and it was mobbed. So, it's kind of cool. The AI, the characters just looked at me. It's kind of neat. Instead, I went to one of my old stomping grounds, Lorville. This is probably one of the simpler areas to kind of go around, and also it's, for lack of a better term, solid. I know what's available here. I know it's not, and this is one of the better spots for me. I will be doing coverage of Orison, just not the first night. Sorry if you are expecting that. I will make sure to mention that in the title of the video. This is one of my first videos, actually, where I'm covering live gameplay, where I'm literally just playing it. I'm going to let it run through, and I'm going to talk over the gameplay and just kind of see where we're at right now. Because 3.14 is an exciting patch for a lot of reasons. It's not just Orison. The bigger thing that I'm excited about right now is the fact that they gave me an incredible amount of credits in the bottom right corner. At least for me. I know some people in the video probably watching this are going, "Oh, I got 40 million." That's great. I don't. On the test server, they gave 15 million credits this go around. I am going to see if we can either buy or rent a Taurus, and I'm going to try to roll through that. So, Lorville is one of the older planetary landing zones. It is on Hurston, this planet of Hurston. I've talked in the past, just heck, one video ago, about how it would be really cool if there was an original Hurstville or Hurston Land or something crazy like that that was even more Hurston Dynamics family, their family of Hurston, and the company that they spawned, even more oversight, and it went chaotically wrong, because Lorville is like it's the occupational residence area. It's like the local occupational residence, and then they added Ville to the end as the local population decided to add that name to it to kind of give it a name. The original reason before that was stated was because it sounded like an old mining town, an old company town in the Wild West, per the lore team. I appreciate their honesty about it, and I think it's a pretty cool concept. I wanted to show down here. If you've ever wondered why the loading takes a little bit longer in this area, it's because you're loading this. So underneath here is the commercial spaceport gates. And you can even see guys standing on chairs down there. I'm sorry to highlight that, but CIG did say multiple, heck, a pillar, a development lead, and CR himself all said they wanted to get rid of this patch, and how it was a priority. But I think in the PTU, I'm going to give it a pass, and I think you should as well, until we see the live patch. You know, we can't have it both ways. We can't have a perfectly polished PTU that's basically the live patch ahead of time, just so we can feel cool that we're playing on the test server, and then, but it takes like it's being put up like a day before the live patch, and then at the same time be like, we want the PTU ASAP, we want to help test, and it's perfect. So I think that keeping your expectations within reason, and playtesting Orison as best we can, and trust me, based on the 2 servers I've been on so far, aside from this one, Orison is well being playtested, and I'm sure there's a lot of content. I crashed in an elevator on the second one, and I've submitted a crash report on that, and I did my due diligence. So I guess I've earned my stripes, so I can go and just do my video about some of the other interesting things. But anyway, these commercial spaceport gates are going to be where the Genesis Starliners land, And players and NPCs will get on board these and leave and go to different places. Hello. So, these NPCs are all standing around and they're doing their real leans and such. And they're standing on the chairs and just having a good old time. There is a kiosk down here. First, you can buy ships up there. Oh. There is a kiosk over here where you can make rentals. Don't forget about this. You know, and if you're wondering where I'm at, that's where there's the ASOP terminals. If you've ever been to Lorville, that's where you get your ship. Then you come around this corner and go to this hangars through those elevators. But what a lot of people forget is that this rental terminal is right here. And there's a lot of stuff in here. If I didn't have so much to offer, I would be looking hard at this. And some of them are really, really cheap. And one of the coolest things about this, if you've never used it before, you could get a really serious ship. Like, ignore the preview. It's literally the ship. There's no games or anything. But you can set it for 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, or 30 days. I like the 3-day one. If you're rolling with your friends over the course of a weekend, a long weekend or something, and you want a weekend warrior with a nice ship, this is a great way to do it. And then look at the actual price. To rent this for an entire weekend, it's only 101K. That's not too bad. That's within a couple hours, anybody could really earn that within a reasonable ship set. And it's one of the reasons I've always suggested to people that the combat vessels may help you grind, but the money-making vessels will always earn the combat vessels. I don't know why the previews look like this. The important thing is that they're all here. Even, like, I find it funny, like, the Drake Dragonflight I rented is 5K for the entire weekend. This is like a 35, 35 USD ship, something like that. It's a motorcycle, but still. It's a floating motorcycle, but point stands. And there's some pretty serious ships in here, like the Connie Andromeda. Unfortunately, there is not the Taurus. Now, we're going to go check New Deal. Because I can't remember. I know there's a Phoenix over here. I'm just going to make the run over there, just to speed this up a little bit. But I know there's a Connie Phoenix over here. I don't know if there's any other ships that are available in this section. See there? I just wanted to point this out, that the Hammerhead's over there, the Phoenix, the Mustang are a nice little batch of ships. Inside you have the Prospector, this is soon to be nerfed 85X, and the LX. This is actually my first ship, actually. I have upgraded it since. I think it's an Apollo medevac now, but this thing right here, this little guy, I was very interested in it because it had a leather seat and it had an upgraded weapon system. And I thought this was the coolest ship ever. It did not look like this when it was sitting in my hangar, by the way. It looked a little different. The seat was like a brown seat. It was not a sporty, that's for sure. This reminds me more of like the style of my 350R now, which was my second ship. But it's kind of interesting. It's a nice little ship, and it's only worth 245K AUC. But it's a relic of the past. This was one of the first ships available in the game that was like one of the upgraded Auroras that had something going on for it. I always found it interesting when I come over to New Deal. This was one of the first areas in the game that I was very excited, because it was the idea of in-game ships where you could come check them out. And it's a shame you can't really like go inside them and whatnot, or you can now. Cool. This was not available a few patches ago. I think it was, then it wasn't. Now it is again. There's a problem where people were getting inside the Phoenix and using the snub to go attack people. But, yeah. But yeah, this is just a traditional Aurora. But, it is a really cool little ship. And in the Auroras, if you haven't already been in one, which it occurred to me that some players might not have, you get inside the pilot seat by climbing around it. It's not motion. It's very basic. And what I mean by not motion is the seat doesn't spin around. Let's see if we can get the lights on at least. I know they don't want you to turn the engines on, but Power on. It's been a while since I've been in Aurora. But it looks like it has the new style HUD. If you look in the bottom right corner, you have your decoys and your noise. These are your countermeasures for your missiles and the missile tech. And this awfully looks like the canvas HUD. The canvas HUD is meant to give you more information up here and not make you look at your screens, which these will all be lit up during flight and whatever situation you put yourself in. At the top here is your different emission types. So in these, actually, no. I've got to behave, and I got to confirm that before I actually say that. It looks like it looks more like the propulsion, the shields, and the power, but I have to double check that. Anyways, this looks pretty cool. I like that you can turn these on and off from here. I'm not going to turn the landing gear off while we're sitting inside a pad, even if it let me. But yeah. So once again, yet another style I'm trying out. I'd like to do more of these. I fully intended to do things like this, and this is what the modern Aurora LX looks like. I don't know. It's a trip down memory lane, even though this wasn't the one I was used to, for sure. That's an unfortunate sign location. You literally get off the ladder and then you're stuck up against this clear sign. That's not the end of the world, but yeah. I've always thought the Prospector has an incredible directional to it. Let me see if I can... Yeah, okay, cool. The visibility on this Prospector, if the ladder doesn't murder you, is incredible. Like, I mean, I guess you have ultimate visibility if you're dead. I mean, your camera zooms out, right? But I mean, you got a bed in the Prospector. This is a bathroom right here. And straight up, it has fantastic visibility. Just like the Aurora, you kind of climb into the seat, and then everything kind of like winds around you. You can see it has the nice, beautiful HUD. Nice modern HUD here. And if I can find the damn switch, if it lets me. Once again, some of these are not going to have everything tied up. Okay, so some of it works. But the whole deal with the Prospector is that you have a single laser down here, but you can put mining lasers on too. It has the smallest ship size laser that we have so far for mining, right here. And then what happens is you use your good visibility to be able to maneuver yourself into position and see the nice tasty rocks. I even like that, like, you can see like a little window on top. There is good visibility on the bottom. It's just so good. I wish more combat vessels had this kind of visibility. And then towards the back, you can see the dead center that there is these big old bags. And those bags are designed to hold your ore that you collect from mining. You can jettison them, and then specialized ships that are coming down the line will be able to scoop them. And also regular freight ships. Any ship really with a tractor beam is going to be able to work alongside this, but some ships are designed to work better than others. There is a rumored ship that's going to be a refiner. Well, it isn't a rumor. CIG devs straight up said at the last in-person CitizenCon that there will be a refinery ship. And they floated the idea of having the small refinery ship that would work alongside this. The rumor suggests that it would be an Argo vessel, and that it would be a combination of cargo hauling and refinery built into one, but with a nice assortment of tractor beams. That is the rumors now. So I'm going to leave speculation land, and I'm also going to leave this Prospector. But the Prospector is a great little ship. I found that the Mole is more of a nuisance to run by yourself. Even though the Mole has bigger mining lasers, it's the size up, and it has 3 of them. You can't use the Mole at the same time no matter what. They're in 3 different pods that kind of come out of the ship. But if you have, say, a buddy or two, the Mole, if you have one person in there, the Mole suddenly becomes interesting. If you have 2, the Mole becomes very interesting. I have the Mole myself, and I really enjoy that ship. But it's just a real pain to organize a few buddies to really go out and mine with you, especially with the risk of 30Ks and server stability issues. one of the other interesting things about the mole compared to the prospector is the mole compresses the ore, at least partially, whereas the prospector just throws it in these bags and that's it. It's part of its storage now. Right now it's just storage. Later on, these bags will jettison and they'll be able to be scooped specially. And on the mole, they're compressed down inside these compressor machines they have, and on board the ship, and then. Okay, you got a Connie Taurus? That's really what I'd like. You sound like you got a very smooth voice for a salesman, which I welcome. But you can sell me a Connie Taurus, that'd be swell. But anyway, we have a lot of interesting things with the prospector and both the mole. It's worth mentioning that it's a small, medium, large concept. The Orion is much larger than both of these ships. The Orion being the largest vessel. It's like a studio capital, if not a full-size capital mining vessel. They're not even in the same category to me. The prospector and the mole, you can debate whether or not to pick one or the other. The Orion is like, I'm going to do a massive mining operation with an entire organization. You know, not just a small group of guys or by myself. Just something to bear in mind. Unless NPC tech gets much, much better. As we talked about earlier, the area below here has to be loaded in, which is all the commercial hangars. Sorry, the commercial gates for the Genesis Starliners. And here is where they actually do all that fun stuff. So when you come off of these elevators, you see the gates right here. These are the gates. You can't access them right now, but there's 4 gates that are underneath our feet. And they have taken out the connector, where you can like literally click here to be considered to be open. These up. Here, and here have been taken out of commission. But yeah, that's exactly what we talk about when we talk about Genesis Starliners. Being able to, here's the icon for one. That's a Genesis Starliner icon. Run by an NPC corporation, and they would take NPCs and players around to all over parts of the system. I'm gonna check that rental section really fast one more time. Yep. No go. It's kind of an awkward situation. When I go to the ASOP terminals, not all my ships are available. I am not quite sure why. I mean, it's not the it's not the worst thing. It's not the worst thing in the world to have this assortment of ships. It's just a surprise. That's all. So let's take out the Connie Phoenix. Hangar 7. Okay. So the Connie Phoenix is one of my daily drivers. I really enjoy this ship. I guess when fuel costs get kind of is changed up and modules kind of get worked out and the dust settles, I might change my mind on that. But for now, I really enjoy this ship. I like what it can bring to the table in many cases. It sucks that I can't bring my piano in because for some reason the flare item section is still glitched in this 3.14 PTU Wave 1, but hopefully that'll be fixed by 3.14 Live. That's also, once again, a minor issue compared to whatever. Whenever I come into these hangars, I like to move pretty quick, and I like to look around for a second and just make sure there's no other players in the area. In these public hangars, you have the issue of literally players can come on and try to grief or hop on board your ship or something when you open it up. In the future, there is going to be personal habs and personal hangars as the first iteration of these owned places that are not NPC owned. And I'm very excited for them. I talked with some folks in some of the most recent videos about them. And, I totally agree with a lot of the statements. That's some of the first times we feel ownership of what we're working with. Here is the infamous 33-33-33 triangle of weaponry, engineering, which is also your shields, and your propulsion. So when you switch these up, different things will have a massive change in what you can and cannot do with these changes. That's your power management V2, which is part of capacitor gameplay that they've changed over. Here's my shield facing. Let's get this comms. Gotta get Lorville Landing Services to open the gates. I'm kind of in a rush, unfortunately, when I'm in there because of the obvious. I am not in my own personal hangar. That's down the line. Right now, I am at the mercy of the Lorville folks. I'm under their rules, and I have to get the hell off the pad, which is a shame. So right now I'm pressing F to free look, and I'm just waiting for the doors to open up. You can also hit F4 and then spin your camera like so, and you can kind of finagle your way to see what the heck's going on. There's many ways to skin that. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Lorville. It's a very nasty looking place, and that's on purpose. It's very industrial. But the Hurston Dynamics Tower is always a beautiful place to me. It always reminds me of Blade Runner, and it's one of the cooler places in the game. I think also Hurston in general, the entire planet, could be a really interesting place. Not because of the city of Lorville, but because of what it offers. There's a lot of interesting places and biomes in Hurston that are worth checking out, and I just wish there's more to them, like small towns and such. Maybe don't even have armistice zones. Maybe one sheriff town that has a few NPCs with some missions and has places you can stay that are less than nice. But have lots of opportunity with caves and other kinds of exciting things to do around them. I feel like if a place is kind of run down, that would be more interesting to me, as if it was like on the fringes of society. And to be fair, Stanton's not really the place for that. We talked last video that I covered kind of a Squadron 42, the deep dive. I talked about Odin a little bit, Nyx a little bit, where they're heavily occupied by pirates, and they're not exactly the most ideal locations to live in, but there's a lot of opportunity. And I would say that Stanton is not that kind of place where everything's kind of owned already by corporations. So literally the corporations have purchased the planets and the planetary bodies around them, the moons and such, are all owned lock, stock, and wholesale by the companies. And it's a lot like an EVE Online. It would be like a Jita or an Amar. For people who've played, your ears just perked up probably. It's a trade hub. It's a location where large companies own most of what's going on, or all the interesting action, and only the absolute edges of the system are going to be, contestable and interesting, I think, unless there's like some leeway added for when planetary outposts are added. Because there's probably going to be a lot of people who don't ever leave Stanton, for a while. They're going to have too small of a ship. They're going to have all their workmates are here, so it's going to be difficult to convince them to head over to Pyro, which is a very dangerous place that has very few places to refuel and has no protection whatsoever. They're going to have something where you can place stuff on the moons of Stanton. Even if it doesn't make a big-time profit, people will want to gravitate towards what they know and what is safe-ish. And I don't mean to kind of say that's a bad thing. It's human nature to kind of seek out the easiest and the simplest solution, because that's how you survive. That's how you get forward. That's how you move forward. The high risk, high reward stuff is mainly for folks that really don't have anything to lose. So just a thought. I think with a lot of these changes, we're going to be hit and miss. You know what? Let's go to Orison. Screw it. So I know I said I wouldn't, but I'm going to star map it and see how far we get. whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna kind of make this kind of a free-form video. So if you if you don't like kind of a video that's kind of going a few different places, I apologize, sort of. Not completely apologizing, but I get it. You know, it's not for everybody. I get it. And at the same time, I'm just trying to explore 3.14 and kind of see the nuances of it and kind of enjoy it. So now that we got some time, this is not the worst ship to be... Enable VTOL buttons. This is not the worst ship to be stuck on. So, I don't know if you caught that. If I press I, you can literally see the live system updates of your system usage. Because I'm in Quantum Drive, I can get away with fiddling with that. But I think this is kind of very responsive, very interesting. I'm sure somebody will be along to tell me in 3.13 that this was a thing or something, but to me, I didn't notice it before. Do not ever hit the stealth button when you're in the middle of something, because this actually takes away a lot of the power from your systems, and it starts fiddling with things. It like lowers their capacity for power, and it doesn't allow them to be different. Like, they start hitting these thresholds really fast. When you're in stealth mode, everything underperforms, and it tries to lower the EM and the IR signature of every single thing. And yes, you can see that my Phoenix is stock. I do not have the module slapped back on it yet. Yes, feel free to comment on that. But you know what? I am fine. I will say that I've heard some interesting reports about folks that have all their modules upgraded. In particular, in this case, I'm going to pick on the folks that have the really fast jump drives, because quantum drives, because that is a topic that is worth talking about while we're sitting in warp. And there has been a lot of discussion about how the fuel consumption is really going off the charts for those upgraded quantum drives. And I would say that that makes sense. There's going to need to be a balance between getting there quickly and getting there in some measure of efficiency. For the record, this green is new. You can say what you want about 3.14, 3.13, but I know this is new. This must be from the sun or something, reflecting in, or something, I don't know. Let's throw out the ship. Here is the infamous, if you've never been in a Phoenix before, for some reason, this is the infamous bathroom. Everybody has had a major problem about this bathroom. They say that they're upset that this is the only bathroom because the VIP guests would have to come all the way back into here and go to that bathroom. So if you've ever wondered why we always talk about the Phoenix bathroom, that is why. We're not just bathroom aficionados. This is one of the 30 VIP rooms of this ship. Here's the second. And the third is that window right there. Just to give you some frame of reference, this is actually the opening, like the welcoming area. Josh Coons described it as. This is where the crew lives. Inside here, their table comes out of the floor right here. If it even works. But let's not mince words. You know, really what's going on here is these lockers will probably be used. The weapon lockers will be used. This is unfortunately the main entrance and exit to this ship when you're not coming in via rover, and then you go through this door, and then this is the actual welcoming to the ship, which is kind of tragic, but that's what, you know, they were trying to work around. There is these wonderful, wonderful commercial seats here that feel like you're on a like a train, like a high-speed bullet train or something, or in a airplane. And this one is not even working right. I tested this before the stream too, and I think I was sitting in this one that actually works correctly. Nope, For some reason, this one has decided not to work either. And I swear, I tested this. I literally sat in this seat right here, and now it has decided it is not sitting at the correct level. I don't know why. Anyway, these seats are here. You got playing cards there that don't work. And then you've got these wonderful drinks. And I've once died of thirst staring at this window. Not actually staring at it. I literally went up to it as a joke and kind of looked at it and kind of tried to grab something out of it just for the screwing of it. Frantically pressing F, going around the edges of it. And then finally giving up and then going outside and then attempting to do my med pen. And it didn't work out too well. Ended up dying. But, yeah. Put this puppy away again. I was crouched there. I wonder if that's why the sitting issue was done. This table is the table that is where I usually will put my piano. The piano would sit. The bench is here, and the piano, the Hartwell ADHE, goes across here, facing that direction. The back of the piano would be back here, and it's pretty damn cool. Coons originally talked about how he wanted. Josh originally talked about how he wanted to have it where you sat here and then faced out towards the bar, and then, you know, maybe some other tables. And that kind of apparently did not work out. I think because of AI issues and pathing, probably, and getting players in and out of there successfully, it ended up being the seat is here when it's here, and then the rest of the piano goes that direction. Also, the table does not usually look this way, but I think this table looks amazing. It looks like it looks like every label, every warning label in the game is like slapped on this table, and it looks really cool. I'm gonna try and take a screenshot of this. So, yeah. Anyway, this is looks like they made the pool have its door close. This is the infamous hot tub room that everyone has said that they want to get rid of or have stuff that's actually usable that folds away or something. Whenever you hear somebody talk about they want to put a bathroom here, or in my case, I actually suggested having 2 stalls, have here and here, that then have like an entryway, or just one that has a doorway here that leads into the bathroom that runs this way, and then have a business set of terminals, maybe 2 business terminals over here where you're facing this wall that allow you to do your stock trading and your keeping up with the organization, teleconferences, whatever. And then this is the wall that you've heard multiple people talk about putting the docking collar that this ship desperately needs. That would be really nice to see here. It's a waste of space. And you can even have a bespoke docking collar where the window still stays here, and then around the edges it stays standardized sizes, but you can even have a window in the middle if it's allowed. If it's not, oh well, the window's still here. It's just not as much of a window. It's the docking collar over here to the right. Anyway, that's what you usually hear people talk about as a multi-use of this room. This is the main bedroom that we talked about. There's storage in here if it works. Nope. One of the things about the Phoenix is because it's rare, it's not really the one that's the best polished. There's modules in the wall here. All sorts of stuff. I gotta tell you, it's a pretty weird experience when this thing's open and then somebody pops these doors thinking this is something to do with the there, and there's like modules for the ship sticking out of the wall. It's a pretty crazy thing. Pretty funny to see people's reaction. I've had that happen twice where people are just like, what the heck is this? This right here is your snub. This is the infamous snub that they had to disable last patch, and it looks like it's back in operation here. The Archimedes fighter is back, the little snub, and it is good to go. I am not going to hop in that. It is a whole ordeal if I mess that up. And then finally, you have your cargo area here where there will be a rover, the Lynx rover, that's shorter than the Ursa, because what happened was they put the Ursa in here. This doubles as your cargo area if you don't have a vehicle in here. But when this elevator's open, it is a really short, when this elevator's closed, it's a very short height in order to gain more space up top. So they had to put a rover in that was like more stout, but wider. And that's kind of what they ended up doing with the Lynx. But by far, the windows That's what sells me on the Phoenix. Fish tanks in the windows. And the fact that I would never make people have to sleep in the crew areas. These are more of just overflow spots. Or AI be parked in these spots. You know, the person who flies the ship or caters to the folks. Maybe a bartender in the future if they're cheap enough to work right here. That'd be kind of cool. But in general, the seats, the meeting area or piano, and this amazing looking table right now. This glitch. I love this glitch. I wish that I could make this like a... I don't want to give them ideas, but a free paint would be really cool that I could buy with UEC to kind of make custom tables. That'd be really chill. Because it looks really legit. But at any rate, that's the RSI Phoenix. Let's go land this puppy. Now, the maneuverability of this ship is actually pretty good. You got the 2 turrets right there. You've got maneuverability. You've got the snub. It's a pretty nice package. You got the rover, you know, for planetary outpost type work. It's not terrible. I do think it's not the greatest for planetary outposts because of the obvious. It's not able to handle the Orison rover. You notice stutters in the video. I'm making like a couple stop and saves on the way just in case I have a crash. On the PTU, that's good practice. The video you might have seen before this or after this is going to be a guide on how to copy your account over to the PTU and get ready for the PTU and some of the optimizations. And I'm hoping to include just a comment or two about content creation and about how that's done on the PTU. That's one of the tips I can give you that I'm going to say right now as well. Plain and simple, be sure to make copies. This is your captain speaking. We're going to be landing in Orison in the dark, and it is about 2200 hours local time. We're going to be landing at the gas giant, kind of in the upper atmosphere. Orison is a unique location, originally set up for UEE ships to be created in higher atmo and breathable air, but in low gravity. It is my hope that we do not overshoot our landing location. This is the first time I'm going to attempt to land at Orison. And hopefully we will get there in one piece without being crushed by the lower atmosphere if we miss the location. So one of the things I do like to do when I'm flying into a new port is I like to leave the destination up at the correct frame of reference as I landed from the Quantum. And I leave the B key targets up to give me my desto. It is not because I'm trying to quantum again, it is because I am trying to use it as my way to guide me in to the target location. Not all locations will allow you to do this, because not all locations have quantum beacons, but many do. So let's sit back, make sure your tray tables are stowed, and let's get your seatbelts on. We're going to attempt to land at Orison. Sorry. Unfortunately, there is no space whales, by the way, if anybody's looking for them. They're not in this patch. They confirmed that already. The 3.14.1 would be the earliest you would see space whales. At least, last I heard. I'm going to chop down my thrust a little bit. Give ourselves an easy desto here. You can see a lot of the planetary infrastructure in this upper atmosphere is all over the place. And landing here in the dark is an interesting factor. That'll do it for this episode. I tried to kind of do an adventure through 3.14 in my own way. Kind of ended up doing a small review of the Prospector, comparing it to the Mole. Talked about some of the changes incoming to ships, and accidentally showed off the Phoenix. Had some fun in the process, and we got to see some of the AI behaviors of 3.14 and Lorville, which is one of the most steady locations. I regret that we were unable to get to Orison. I'm not going to BS you. I had 3 crashes tonight trying to get into Orison. I had so far one time I was actually able to get it to load on one server that was steady. Another server, as I said earlier, out of the 2, the one server was practically crashed when I got off the elevator and started walking around. There were so many players. The other one was a bit more steady, but I was very hesitant to start recording. There was just too many people running around and too much activity. It was easier said than done, and there was just a lot going on, unfortunately. So hopefully tomorrow I'll be doing some recording. In fact, probably the day you're actually seeing this, because I'm going to kick this into render overnight. So if you're seeing this on a Friday, July 9, you're probably going to see later the same day, in which case, hello, July 9. You will actually be seeing the video from Orison. It is my hope that I'll get that running. It'll be a little more steady state during the middle of the day, where most people will be at work, and we can get this going. I work weird hours, so it's not too difficult for me to get into those locations when most people are doing their 9 to 5. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. If you felt something was too loud or the style of it was a little different and what you think could improve it, greatly would appreciate feedback, either on here, as always, on Discord, whether it's on the Orion server or directly. Don't forget, that's always an option. And even, I think, Reddit now. I had a lot of folks that I'm chatting with on there publicly, and also did through DMs. So whether I like it or not, there's a lot of different ways that folks want to reach out, and I try to accommodate every which way possible. I enjoy talking about the game. I enjoy cultivating the community as best I can and getting information out there and learning alongside you. That's part of the game here for me, is getting folks that know something to speak up and really be part of things. If you noticed, a few times now I've kind of referenced, hey, get on Spectrum, check this out, upvote this, or comment on these things if you know about them, and post your own questions about what's going on with the lore team, what's going on with gameplay. Just yesterday, as I'm speaking like it's Friday now, just yesterday we had the very, very large shield changes and weaponry changes. Check out that video. The card will be up right now, or just after this when I'm talking. And you'll see in that video the link to that forum post. If you don't want to watch that video, you don't have to. You can go to the Spectrum general pinned post that is at the top, that is talking about shield and weaponry changes. You can go directly to it and go through all that. But please, if there is nothing else you do, make sure you provide feedback to places the devs will see it. If you're not happy with your ship being changed, if you're not happy with how things are going, that is the way to get things done. Also, be sure, if you have access to the PTU, be sure to take advantage of that. Take a look at things, even just playing, and then you have crash support, crash tickets submitted, and also don't forget about the issue council. So if you're seeing the same issue come up time and time again, it's not just a one-off crash, you should really hit that. You should really go to the Spectrum issue council forum. I have a video about that. I'll put that also in the cards. Don't forget that that's always an option, and it's highly, highly recommended. If you've ever wondered how people get into EVO, by the way, that's how they do it, is being active in the issue council and being very helpful to the devs, kind of acting as like that second or third tier of quality control, for lack of a better term. It's a necessary evil with any type of game development, and as a backer, that's one more way you can support the project and keep that going. It's not, you don't have to, it's completely optional, but I just figured I'd mention it. And that'll do it for me on this video. This is the part 1 of my adventures in 3.14. I'm going to do more just active gameplay, just kind of hanging out, exploring different things, talking about different ships. I'm going to get my hands on a Connie Taurus, hopefully in the next video, and also do a little bit of exploration of Orison. I want to talk about the design of Orison. Already, I've seen that the Habs have these interesting platforms and a rooftop access that we have not seen in other high-rise Habs and other planetary landing locations. And I also want to comment a little bit on the massive area that was a big surprise to me that Orison takes up, and the shuttle access times and such like that. These are some really interesting things for I was going to say workflow, but in this case, the gameplay momentum that you're going to experience if you live out of Orison. If you and your org decide to move to that area and you want to form up, it will have an impact on your gameplay. Just some thoughts. So once again, like, comment, subscribe. This helps you out, and please give me feedback. I live and die by that stuff. You guys have a great day.